Happy Monday, everybody. Amy Scruggs here, and I have been looking forward to this interview for 2 weeks. 2 weeks we made this come together. I get to introduce you to the one, the only Ashley Armstrong. Can't speak today. It's a Monday. Ashley Armstrong. She is the most incredible entrepreneur with a huge background, giving back, creating systems, and engaging and encouraging people. I'm going to learn to speak today. Happy Monday. And she has an incredible background and career in what she's launching now. She's on every network you could possibly see on TV. The one and only Ashley Armstrong. I'm now going to shut up. This is all about you.
Oh my God. I am so grateful to be here. Thank you so much. Oh, now I'm like, do I need to have like a tongue twister going on too? Like we can both
I think I'm
fall
going to
into
challenge
it.
you. Yes. That doesn't normally happen to me. I love live like this because there you go, everybody. Amy does get tongue tied. It happens. But today this is not about Amy. It's all about Ashley. Double A, double trouble today. That's what I'm calling it. Double A, double trouble.
Let's go
Ashley,
there.
Ashley, you have such an incredible background, and what you're doing now is so amazing. And you have an entirely new platform that's grown tremendously, that you are empowering women across the world, especially as entrepreneurs and in certain spaces. But I want to go backwards first and talk about where you started your entrepreneurial start and what that background looks like for you.
Oh my gosh, do we have like a whole week? Like really?
Yeah.
That's a loaded question. Well, let's dumb it down and summarize it as best as possible. I'm like one of, like yourself, like just child entrepreneurs. Like we're just born into it, making ashtrays out of clay found at the beach and selling it for 25 cents. Like I was one of those things. I just couldn't get away from it. But really at the end of the day, other than doing those little fun things, my sort of real business, like getting out there and getting it out of the house. I did live in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico for 14 years. And when you're living in a third world country as an expat, there's not too many things that you can do. So having to figure out how to make your own income was definitely like, oh my God, how do I do this? And I started
I want everybody to know you had kids while you were doing that too. So this wasn't just you. You have a family.
No.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I want people to realize you were super mom doing that.
Yes, I was definitely mom. I was like, doing like what a lot of us do, just juggling with the children and the screaming and like, business strategies and what business do I actually start and whatnot. But what really got me like into it, where I'm like, okay, I can actually see this go big rather than just like, little things out of the house and making a few little bucks here and there, is I cultivated my own bacteria in my kitchen, and I was making probiotic drinks and I was selling them locally. This was way before Whole Foods even know probiotic drinks was like a thing. No one really talked about gut health, but I was also a natural health practitioner, and I was a childbirth educator. And I also have like the largest mother support community in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, 1,500 members. And I've been running that thing for over 9 years now. And so like the whole gut health and helping the locals, especially in a third, in a country where, people get, tummy issues, especially when they come on vacation. And I was like, how can I make this big? And everywhere I looked, I spent like a year and a bit more, and everyone's like $150,000 just to kind of get this thing going. I'm like, that's not the case. There's got to be something else. There's got to be something else. There's got to be an easier way to do this. And because of that, it really launched me into understanding, what it means to manufacture overseas. So I had a staff of 12 in China and Shenzhen, where we were manufacturing products. I built a 7-figure business of selling products online and predominantly focusing on Amazon. So we were really leveraging the power of Amazon back then. And simultaneously, because I'm a mom and I have this little weird sort of like, I want to prepare my children no matter what, I wrote and published 6 books about my kids for my kids in case I happen to die early. I know this sounds kind of morbid, but yeah. So like learning how to publish books and working with, people from all over the world to help me get that done, illustrators and, people to edit it and whatnot. Then I'm like, oh my gosh, like, okay, Amazon and publishing and then manufacturing products. And they all kind of simultaneously came together. I'm like, this is something you cannot ignore, the power of e-commerce. And this was like a decade ago, right? So this is when things are just starting to kind of like get on and get up, when it comes to like the online space. It wasn't too populated with a lot of people, I guess you could say. So it was a really amazing adventure that I've just, every year I've kind of grown leaps and bounds and pivoted and altered, and here I am today. And I love it. And I'm bringing all these different aspects of my life together so I can support, women in e-commerce is really what it is at the end of the day.
Powerful.
So pivoting. Yeah, it is powerful. I'm pivoting, definitely.
Everybody has to pivot. I think we'll touch on that more. But also, I want everybody to know that network today that you started in Cabo San Lucas is still alive and thriving, isn't it?
You cannot live there without being part of that community. 100%. The women in that community, it's a cornerstone, and it was really before Facebook groups kind of like really got going. So it was a local community, but it was also online, and you could not be in that community unless you were a local mother in that town. So it's
Wow.
very, very, dedicated to supporting, women, one, to how to make a few extra bucks. I've helped start businesses in town, just people who are just like, I'm going to have a kid and I'm not in the States or Canada or where, like, what do I do? What doctors, I have a rash. What do you see about this? How do I put my kid to sleep? And you know what I mean? And it's just like
Right.
everything underneath the sun. It's just one of those super supportive networks. And that's what I love about creating a community. It's the lifeline that you didn't realize you needed. And once you have it, you're like, I cannot let go of this because these people are amazing,
Well, I love that because a lot of people don't realize how to find that beautiful middle ground connection of creating something. You created and empowered and started something that has left your fingerprints there in a big way. But when you use the word community, it means not only did you put something that's just out there, but it's also something that's coming and pulling back, that now people are connected. You're still connected to them. And community is, I think, the most powerful tool that we can create when we're growing business, because everything we do actually is revolving around real people, real life, real relationships. We get so stuck in working on the business and in the business that we forget that what we do has people behind it, and what you do has people behind it, and it's impacting lives. So now you've been in Canada for how long now?
We've been back for almost 2 years now. So it's been a little bit of a whirlwind where, you leave somewhere for like almost 14 years and you come back, you're like, this is not the place that I left. And you have to like reestablish yourself, and you can't pay cops off, and you can't have someone come and take the meter off your wall and wind it back a little bit. And all these really weird things that you can do in the wild, wild west when you're living in such a place as that. And so the rules, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to follow the rules. What are the new rules? It was amazing. Yeah, the damn rules. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So it's like the hidden rules expert. Here we go. And rules from there and rules from here. And I'm learning them all, one way or the other.
That's why I love the title that you have on all of this, the hidden rules expert, because you've taken all of these years. And when people come to work with you and in your programs, they're finding out that you've spent all of these years discovering all of this stuff, and you're bringing it together in this beautiful, well-orchestrated toolbox with a bow on top. Let's talk about the Hidden Rules Network and what that looks like now and what you're doing.
Oh my gosh, I am really, 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 really excited about that. And I'm really grateful that you wanted to speak about that, because really at the end of the day, I have spent the last decade online, not only with my own businesses, but also consulting multi-million-dollar companies as well, and how to leverage and use the power of, Amazon, and making sure their branding, messaging, and positioning is solidified throughout all their social networks. So we can create an ecosystem for their consumers. But what I really found over the years and doing all my training and working with some of the biggest and best in the industry, I seem to have attract like women, lots and lots of women. They just keep coming at me, and they're just like, I would love it if we had like a safe space. It's very male dominated. I feel like cannot be vulnerable. And I always had to be in my masculine energy, which, that's fine. No problem with that.
But it gets exhausting.
I just want to flip out. It gets exhausting. Yes.
It's exhausting.
So yeah, that's really what I'm doing right now, as I'm creating a women in e-commerce mastermind community. And it's really just a safe space for you to be able to, one, find like-minded individuals. Two, we're going to have myself and guest experts come in to talk about everything underneath the sun from business and in life. Because really at the end of the day, business is only like one aspect, and understanding how to control all that and set it all up, that's great. But the mindset and the crap that we have to deal with, like I got 2 kids at home right now, sick, and I'm here, it's like we're always juggling, we're always doing things. And so, yeah, giving them a safe space to get feedback for where they are right now. Because there's so many goddamn shiny object syndrome. It's just like, this person said to do this and this person said to do that, and you have to do it all, and you're always trying to catch up. And it's like, no, darling, no. Where are you at right now in your business? What is it you're trying to accomplish? And let's just talk about that and get some clarity around that next step. Because what you're thinking of is like 3 months down the road or 6 months down the road. You're not even there yet. So don't even think about it, and trying to be in every channel all the time. It's exhausting. So I just want to like pull them back.
Right. And what do you advise to somebody? I always say, okay, I stay in my lane. I know what my lane is. And I think, I'm a little bit older than you. Not much, everybody. Okay. No, just guess I am. But I think one thing I've learned is how to stay in my lane. How do you advise women who are saying, yes, I can do this and this? Because as women, we do take it all on, and we can do everything. We do. But how do you advise them to really fine tune their own niche or their own message and their own business?
Well, first and foremost, like anything else, it takes a community to raise a child. It really does.
Yes,
And
it
it takes a
does.
community to raise a business. Your business moves at the speed of relationships. You said that as soon as we started this, right? And so
Yes.
creating those relationships with people around you who can be that sounding board, and people have been there, done that, or they're at a different stage in their business life cycle, having that sort of connection and community around you is like number one, because we all see too many things. There's a million bloody programs, there's a million channels, social media channels, that we can be focusing on or advertising on or whatever it might be. But really at the end of the day, it's just like, okay, who is it that you serve? What
Right.
problems are you solving for them? And let's figure out what, your avatar is of your client, your customer. Where are they? And let's go to where they are. And on top of that, who can you create a joint venture partnership with? Because there's a million other businesses that are already existing. They already have people inside their communities. And maybe you are able to serve that community, which can be a win-win for both people kind of coming involved. It could be a product-based, it could be service-based. It doesn't really matter. Again, it's all about being in relationships within the business environment. And so when it comes to like, how do you hone down? Well, really at the end of the day, a lot of times it's a lot of conversations. It
Yes.
really is. Like how many times we sit there going, I don't know what to freaking do, but you get on one call that's 20 minutes with one person who's been there and done that. And then all of a sudden, this big, huge barrier, this big weight that we had on our shoulders where we were on the floor crying like a baby 5 minutes ago, going, I don't know what to do, which I have totally been there, done that. And I will continue to do that until the day I die. I'm sure of it. You know what I mean? But just having that clarity call and just having that soundboard is
Right.
really kind of like I say that's the premise of it, because there's so many different business models and things that we can do. And how do you find the right answer? Well, really have a conversation.
Yes.
Ask the people
Ask.
who already have communities. Like, what is it that you need? What is it that you want? You can, of course, go and look at like reviews of what people are leaving, good, bad, and ugly, of products and or services. And you can start pulling apart what people love, what people hate. And then you can kind of orchestrate yourself around how can you fix that hole in the market? Or how can you like bring a better service or better product to that person? And then you start speaking their language. And then everything else just kind of like flows thereafter, as long as you stay, as you said, in your lane and you don't get too distracted with all these other things that are on the side. Because every time we make a decision for our business, it's usually like a 3-month to a 6-month commitment minimum. And
Right.
most people are like, I'm going to set this like sales page up or the sales funnel up or da 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 or ads up or whatever. And they think they're going to get results like instantly, or they're going to get the page live instantly. But it's like, no, 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 no.
It's
9
the
times out of
truth.
10, you're going to be like working on it for at least 6 months of like writing it, getting feedback, editing it, testing it out, split testing it. And it's just like, oh my God, when is this ever going to end? But really
It's
at the
part
end
of
of the
the
day,
process.
it's part of the process.
And
Be
you have to
aware of
trust
what
the
you're getting
process.
into. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that you brought up that relationship aspect and being willing to ask those questions and meet new people. And I have to tell everyone, Ashley and I met because we made a commitment to meet each other. We have been in some of the same coaching and business circles. And I saw her and said, this is the woman you got to know. I got to know her. That's it. And she reached back to me as well. And we've had amazing conversations offline and getting a chance to get to know each other. And I'm like, this is a woman that people need to meet. I got to tell you, she is as genuine and smart and kind and giving as what you see right here. And I knew that I wanted to have her on my team in my circle, because I want to be able to go to you, Ashley, and say, hey, I need a resource here. Who do you have for this? And the one thing that we've learned is about that ask. We have to ask and we have to help each other, especially as women. We are, most of us are pushing that stone uphill in a lot of male dominated industries, myself included, for a lot of years. And we have to ask for that help. And it's okay to do that. And you'd be amazed at the resources and the people that come to you when you really put it out there and say, I want to attract that in. And I know, Ashley, you're excited to be able to attract more people in and say, here, I have the help for you. I have the resources for you. How can they find you and get a hold of you? Where would you send them first for consultation or quick questions?
Yeah, so I love that question. Thank you so much. And I'm just, again, so grateful that I'm here, and I'm so glad we connected. But for
Me
people
too.
to look for me, as they can go to thehiddenrulesexpert.com. We are rebranding, FYI, but that is the main site, so you can get in contact with me,
Oh, it's amazing.
hiddenrulesexpert.com. And
Her
then for
site is
the
amazing.
women, well, thank you. It's going to be way more amazing once we get that thing rebranded. But the women's community, which I'm putting all my heart and energy and focus on, is the hiddenrulesnetwork.com. Hiddenrulesnetwork.com for the women in e-commerce, and giving them a safe space, a sounding board where they can get expert advice and get access to experts they would never even have they wouldn't know about, they wouldn't have access to them. And I'm bringing everyone in my circle to the table so we can have that roundhouse opportunity to really get what we need in life as well as in business.
That's fantastic. One last question is, what do you feel is the most common question that people come to you and ask? If you could think, oh, this is the one I hear all the time.
That's a really good one. You know what I've actually found, I wouldn't necessarily be a question, but it's more of a misrepresentation.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in a very blessed situation where I've actually helped companies screen individuals who wanted to join their programs or whatnot to kind of help them identify who their avatar is, who their ideal client is. And it's really interesting to see that a very large majority of the population has no idea what it means to actually be an entrepreneur. They see the shiny object, they see the planes,
Right.
They see the Lamborghinis, and like, I want that. But they don't realize that that person's been doing behind the scenes of the iceberg. Like, this is the iceberg, but really everything is underneath it. And really at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, exactly. It's like, it's the time, money, and energy. So that's really what you need to invest, and being clear on business models. And that's really what most people have. They're like, I want to do something. I want to get up online. And they have this one idea. And then I'm like, okay, so let's pull back the curtain on what that business model is going to take. You can literally take a hot dog cart, right? And that's okay. You're outside, freezing cold, blistering heat, one or the other. What's the investment to even to get on that? All right, well, it's about $10,000 just to start a hot dog cart, for crying out loud. It's absolutely crazy. The
Right.
permits, everything that's needed for it. But do you actually like standing outside? Do you want to communicate with people? Like, do you live in an area that you like the temperature? You have to think about that aspect. And how many hot dogs do you actually have to sell before you can break even and then get a profit? Like, you have to look back, and is that a business model that works for you? And then a lot of the times you're like, oh crap, I didn't even think about that. They're like, well,
Right.
I'm going to be a real estate agent. I'm like, okay, I also have that background. My husband's a master closer for luxury real estate for 25 years.
Wow.
You have to run around like a crazy person because you
Yes.
are the business. It doesn't get handed to you. You have to park your real estate license at some firm for like $500 to $1,000 a month, whether you're making money or not. And usually when you get going, you have to have at least 6 months to a year worth of bills in the bank before you even get to your first house closure.
Right.
So again, people don't pull back the curtain and look at the business model to see if it fits with what it is that they want to do, and if they're willing to work on it, really, because you need time, money, and energy. All three of those investments into anything that you're doing. So really, at the end of the day, what is the most conversation I have is just trying to give people a very clear idea of what it means to be an entrepreneur and what channel or what space they want to step into that they're going to dedicate themselves. And commitment to action is the only thing you need, because we don't get motivated, we don't get inspired to do things. It's you take action on this one little goal, and once you reach that goal, then you're like, oh crap, this is amazing. Then you get the inspiration, then you get the motivation to go after another goal, and then it just ends up being, a little bit of a flywheel effect. So if all you can do is take action, that's all you need to do, because everything else will follow through.
I love that. I'm just going to call you every morning before I start my day. And it's good because we're both on Pacific time zone. And just kickstart the day, because you just hit it head on. And I don't think that everybody realizes that your expertise, your talent, your knowledge, and what you bring is not common. And you're an incredible asset to people that are really ready to start and that are right on that cusp of saying, how do I do this? And even ones that are already in that next level of success. Okay, how do I grow it even more? And I hope that they reach out to you. You can reach me. I will get you right in touch with her. I promise. I've got an access to her now. Red phone. I've got the red phone to Ashley now. And I'm going to keep you in my back pocket. And I'm just so glad that I got to, really hear you today, and that everybody gets to hear your expertise and your insights on starting business and what you've seen. Thank you for being on with me today, and congrats on all your success and everything you have going on right now. I'm excited to support you ongoing.
Thank you. And right back at you as well. Everything that you're doing for not only women, but in business and in media and real estate, it blows my mind. I love how we can create a beautiful community together of rising stars, but we're also extending our hands to everyone else and bring them up with us. The tide that rises lifts all boats, and that's what you do. And I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you. Well, I think we should do this again and maybe bring on one of the clients you're working with and co-host something and do some deeper dives on being an entrepreneur. What do you think?
I love that. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks so much, Ashley.